Hi guys, I just want to go through the homework. So here's the first one. So here's your right angle, which makes this the hypotenuse. Here's my angle, so that makes this the opposite. Sorry, that's C. And then that makes the other one the adjacent, which is, oh, that's wrong, isn't it? Adjacent is B. That's A. Okay, so I said with these that the trigonometric ratios are fractions. So they have a numerator and denominator, which means they only have two numbers, so you can always leave one out. So I'm going to leave out the opposite because it doesn't have a number, so it's the obvious leave out. So that means I'm left with B and C. Okay, so go to my, actually might just get my formula and tables book, be easier. I'll bring it down here. Right, so go to my formula and tables book. What did I say I had? B and C. So which one is B and C? There it is there. Cosine. Okay, so I say the cos of the angle is B over C, because that's what it says in the table book. So the cos. Now, do I know the angle? I don't. Okay, so I leave that as A. B is 5 and C is 9. Okay, now that's what I asked you to do for homework. So essentially, I wanted you to choose the correct trigonometric ratio and I wanted you to create the fraction in the same way. So if you have that done, that's correct. Now, I just want to show you how to finish it, okay? So the question is find the angle, which means I want to isolate A. So I want to take the cos and I want to bring it over the other side of the equals. Okay, now trigonometric identities move in a different way to all of our other things that we've ever learned. So when a trig ratio moves across the equals, it becomes an inverse ratio. Okay, so cos inverse, that's what the -1 means. Now on your calculator, if you press shift and cos, you'll see cos -1 comes up, and then put in your 5 over 9. And I am getting 56.251 blah 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 blah. So it says that they want it to the nearest degree. So that means I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop here. So I look at the next number, which is only a 2. So that's not going to increase it. So it's 56 degrees for the first one. All right, so that's how you finish it. Now we're going to practice that a few times, obviously. So next one, there's the hypotenuse, which is C. Here is the opposites, which is A, and that makes this one down here the adjacent B. Leave one out, so this time it'll be the adjacent because it doesn't have anything on it. So I'm looking for A and C. There's A and C. It's sine. So I'm going to write that down. So the sine of the angle equals A over C. Now the sine, we don't know the angle. A is, where's A? A is here, so A is 10 and C is 12. Okay, so again for homework, that's as far as I wanted you to go. Now let's take it a bit further. So we're going to take the sine and we're going to bring it across the equals. So now the A is isolated. The sine becomes sine inverse, 10 over 12. So inverse sine 10 over 12. I'm getting 56 again. 56.44269. Okay, so again, they want it to the nearest whole number, so I stop here. I look at the next number. That is not big enough to push it up. So again, it stays at 56 degrees. Yeah? Do C over here. Go somewhere else to do D. Anyway, we'll do C over here. Okay, so there's your hypotenuse, which is C. There is your opposites, which is A, and then here's your adjacent, B. Again, the adjacent gets left out, which means it's the same as last time, so it's going to be sine again. So the sine of the angle is A over C. The sine of the angle, this time A is here, so it's 4 over 8. Again, isolate the A by making the sine a sine inverse. And then inverse sine 4 over 8 is 30 degrees. So no decimals there at all. So that one is done. Yeah. Now D. I might just have to go over to the side. So there's the hypotenuse, C. Here is the angle, which makes that the opposites, and that's A. And then that makes the other one, the adjacent, B. Okay, leave one out. In this case, it's going to be the hypotenuse because it has nothing on it. So we're looking for A and B. Here it is here. A and B is tan. I'm just going to go over to the side. Okay, so the tan of the angle is A over B. The tan of the angle is, so where's A? A is 15 over 10. Okay, so same again, you want to isolate the A, so grab the tan and bring it across, and it will become tan inverse of 15 over 10. We go back into the calculator, we go shift tan to get tan inverse, 15 over 10, and again, that is 56.3099, and it continues. So we want to stop here for the nearest whole number. We look at the next number, it's only a 3, so again, it's not big enough to push it up. So we get 56 degrees. Okay, so for your homework, all I wanted you to do was choose the right ratio. No, insert, sorry. So your homework for the first one, that would have been the answer. For the second one, this would have been the answer. For the third one, this would have been the answer. And then for the fourth one, this would have been the answer. Okay, so all I want you to do is choose the right ratio and then put the fraction in the right order. Okay, the stuff I've done after that, I'm only teaching you now. Hopefully you have room and you can add it. But I'm going to do one more here just to make sure we're good. Okay, so there's 2 here. I'll just do one of them. Right, so here's my right angle, which means this is my hypotenuse, C. Here's my angle, which means this is my opposites, A, and then the spare that I haven't done is the adjacent, B. Each ratio will only use 2 of the sides, so you need to eliminate one. You eliminate the one that doesn't have a number on it, okay? So that doesn't have a number on it, so I eliminate it. So I'm left with A and B. Now that's the one we just did, but you have a look to see which one is A and B, and it's tan, okay? So we write down that the tan of A is A over B. Now, with fill in, tan. Do we know the angle? We don't, but we should note that they've called it B, so we'll call it B. A is here, it's the opposite, so it's 4. And B is here, the adjacent, which is 7. Okay, now find to the nearest degree the measure of the angle B, which means it's B we're trying to find that we need to isolate. So we're going to lift this tan and bring it across the equals. When you bring a sine, a cos, or a tan across the equals, it becomes a tan inverse or a sine inverse or a cos inverse, depending on what you start with. And you type that into your calculator by using shift tan 4 over 7. And here I'm getting 29.74488, and it goes on. They want it to the nearest degree, so that means we're going to have no decimal places, so we're going to stop here. We look at the number after the stop, This is a 7. That 7 is going to be big enough to push this up. So that means that B is 30 degrees. Okay? So that's a few examples now of how you figure out the angle. So I hope that's okay. This we came across the other day. Yeah, this one here, we did an example where they talked about an angle of elevation. So I had drawn this already, but basically an angle of elevation is looking up, and an angle of depression is looking down. Okay, most of the time they'll draw the diagram anyway. I'll show you here in this next example. Okay, but yeah, if you want to take down, like literally the angle of elevation is looking up from the horizontal, the angle of depression is looking down from the horizontal. Okay, so we'll have a look at this one. A coast guard standing on a cliff top at a point C sees a boat S in the sea below. The cliff is 88 metres high, that's in the picture, and the boat is 100 metres away, that's in the picture. Calculate to the nearest degree the angle of depression. Now this symbol, I don't know if you've seen it before, but it's alpha. Okay, it's just a Greek letter, it's just instead of using X. So the angle of depression alpha from the top of the cliff. Okay? Okay, so alpha, we have a triangle. You can clearly see the triangle, okay? Alpha's not in it. So we're going to have to calculate an angle in the triangle and then kind of as a result calculate alpha. Okay, so the most obvious angle to calculate is this one here, because the angle of depression is from the horizontal. See this here? The angle of depression is from the horizontal looking down, okay? And this is obviously the cliff, which we're assuming is standing vertical. So that's a 90-degree angle. So if we can figure out what x is, we should be able to figure out what alpha is, right? So here is our right angle, which means this is our hypotenuse. I've marked an angle, and opposite that marked angle is my opposite. And that makes the cliff over here the adjacent. Okay, again, you need to leave one out. We have the adjacent and we have the opposite, so it's going to be the hypotenuse that we leave out. Okay, so A and B, this is the third time in a row we've done this, it's tan. So the tan of A is equal to A over B, copied straight from the table book. Now, the tan of. The angle, I called it X, so we'll change it to X. A is down here, which is 100, and B is over here, and that's 88. Okay, so again, we want to isolate the X, so we're going to take that tan across. When it crosses the equals, it becomes inverse tan of 100 over 88. So shift tan 100 over 88. It gives you 48.6522, etc., etc. Okay? So now that's what x is. And like I said, x and alpha add up to 90. So if I do 90 minus 48.6522. Okay, so what I'm typing into my calculator here, I've left that number. This number is still sitting in my calculator. So I'm going to type in 90 minus, and I'm going to hit the answer button. Okay, so 90 minus answer equals, so I have now 41.34777, and it goes on. Okay, and again, it asks to the nearest degree, so they don't want decimals, so I'm going to stop here. We look at the next number, which is only a 3, so that is not big enough to push up, which means the angle of depression is 41 degrees. Okay, and I know some of you might have rounded at this point. It's not good practice to round in the middle of a question. You should keep as many decimal places as you possibly can until the very, very last moment, and then you round. If you round in the middle, now in this case it probably wouldn't have made a difference, but if you round in the middle of a question, generally speaking, what you're getting is accumulated error. So you're making your answer a little bit more wrong, and then a little bit more wrong, and then a little bit more wrong, all the way down. So get into the practice early in maths of keeping decimal places all the way to the end. And this answer button is it's such a good tool, and you really should be using it. All right. So again, that was the same question. Obviously, slightly like a tiny bit at the end where you had to subtract from 90, but that's it. Okay. So that's it for today. I have questions there that I want you to do. So will you take down your notes? Obviously, you're going to need to extend your homework to include the bit where you find the angle. I did another example there just in case anyone was still confused. Just to briefly mention angle of elevation and angle of depression. I had mentioned it in an example above, but I just wanted to do a specific example on that. Again, the actual guts of the maths was the same. Sorry. It was just that little last bit about calculating the 90 degrees or subtracting from 90 degrees to get your angle of depression. Okay, so yeah, give the homework a go. Upload to Schoology, please. There was more people uploading on Wednesday, which is brilliant. And that's it. So that's due for Monday, and have a great weekend.